And today I'd like to introduce to you a good friend of mine. Her name's Nicky Masson. Nicky Masson started out with a dream. She started out with some challenges. And she stayed in the pursuit of her dream and reinvented herself over and over and again till she got what she wanted. And so Nicky is coming to join us today as one of the top coaches in the United Kingdom, and she's going to share with you her journey and what she's learned about success on the way. So ladies and gentlemen, please go to the chat box and type in the name Nicky. Here she is, Nicky. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, everybody.
Wow, you look wonderful.
Thank you, so do you.
Thank you so much. Well, Nicky, it's wonderful to have you here. We started on our journey a long time ago, but I'm going to hand it over to you to share your inspirational story with our friends. So thank you for waking up early. What time is it there in the UK? 8 a.m?
It is 8 a.m. here in the UK.
Oh my gosh, how do you look that gorgeous at 8 a.m? Oh my gosh.
Who knows?
Okay, I'll see you soon. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Hello, so good morning, good afternoon, and it is an absolute pleasure to be with you here today. I have known Daniel for a few years now. We first met back in 2015, I believe, and it has been an incredible journey, and I'm hugely grateful and thankful that our paths crossed all those years ago, because if they hadn't have done, I actually don't know where I will be right now. I think that my life would have taken a very different turn. And I do believe that things happen for a reason. So I am very glad that we met back in 2015. And I have been through quite a lot of difficult events in my life, and I've been through quite a lot of traumatic events. I've had quite a turbulent upbringing, and I will mention a couple of those things for you in a moment. And what happened is when I got to my mid-30s, I wanted to do something for myself. So I started a new business. And it was around the time of starting that new business that everything started to come up to the surface for me. I started to have a lot of unresolved emotions that were coming up to the surface. I was feeling very anxious. There was a lot of fear. There were a lot of limiting beliefs. But at the time, I couldn't actually make sense of them. I didn't really know why they were there. I didn't understand them. I didn't know how to control them and move past them. So it was a really difficult and challenging time. And it wasn't until I started to look into that further and started to ask the questions and started to understand, what is this all about? What does it mean? And what can I do about it? It wasn't until that point that I was able to move past it and start to move past some of those traumatic events that I'd been through. So in my past, some of the traumatic events were that I had been sexually abused from when I was very young. So from the age of 5, I'd been sexually abused by a family member, and I'd grown up with that for a long, long time. And it played heavily on my mind, but I also had developed this kind of coping mechanism. So what I would do is I would bury it, and I didn't want to deal with it. It was kind of that feeling of, well, it just happened. It's just one of those things. But of course, by feeling that way, I never truly dealt with it. So for many, many years, 35 years later, I had all of this suppressed emotion inside of me. But of course, I didn't realize it until it came to the point where I had to dig deeper to understand it. I'd come from a broken home, so I'd seen my mother go through many, many abusive relationships. As a result of that, we didn't grow up having a very good relationship ourselves. I don't know my father. He actually died when I was about 18, but the last time I saw him was age 5. So I didn't have a stable upbringing as such. We'd moved around lots and lots of times, and it was almost like a catalogue of things, like one after the other, after the other, after the other. Now, part of that led to me growing up with this thick skin of I can deal with anything and I can handle anything. But like I mentioned a moment ago, all I had done was actually suppress that emotion. I hadn't dealt with anything at all. I wasn't really being strong, because by the time I'd got to my mid-30s, oh boy, did it start to come up to the surface. And I had no choice but to deal with it. I'd had postnatal depression, anxiety. There was lots of different things, a whole cocktail of different things going on. And fortunately, I did meet Daniel back in 2015, and that was a huge eye-opener for me. I remember being on a training session with him. It was organised by a company that I was working with, and he was talking about how we think and we feel and how we behave, and how all of those things are directly attributed to our mental and emotional blocks, events that have happened in our past. So the way that we think and feel and behave today could be directly attributed to something that happened way back in the past. Could be in a childhood, could even be in a past life, or passed down through generations. And that was a light bulb moment for me. And the first time that anybody had ever said anything like that to me. And so in that moment, I was like, wow, suddenly somebody is starting to give me answers. I've suddenly got a bit of hope that I'm actually, I can be okay, that there's nothing wrong with me, that everything that is happening inside of me can actually be resolved. So that was the start of the journey of where I am today. And it has been a journey. And like Daniel said a moment ago, it is something that you have to work on all the time. Your mindset, your mind is a muscle like any other muscle, and it needs to be worked on. And thankfully, having worked with Daniel, I now have those tools and resources that I can work on that continuously. And because of that, I'm able to continuously do new things. I'm continuously able to push myself out of my comfort zone and do things that I never thought that I would actually be able to do. So things like speaking in front of you, which is an absolute privilege to be here. A few years ago, I would never have had the belief in myself that I would be able to speak in front of a group of people like yourselves. And after working with Daniel, I have been in a really fortunate position that I've been able to go on and train to become a coach with him, which means that I get to help people all around the world to overcome their mental and emotional blocks, just like I was able to do. And speak in front of people, help people, challenge myself daily, step out of my comfort zone daily. And I think the real message for me to share today is it doesn't matter where you've come from. It doesn't matter what has happened in the past. You can achieve anything you want. And if you believe in yourself enough, you can do anything. You are capable of doing anything. And you're in exactly the right place to learn how to do that. So I'm excited for you. I'm excited for you that you are on this journey and that you've taken the time to be here, because I have been sitting where you are now, and I know what an incredible journey it is. So congratulations for being here, and well done for showing up. This is the start of that journey for you.
Ladies and gentlemen, go to the chat box and type in the name Nicky. Well done, Nicky.
Pleasure.
Nicky also travelled all the way from the United Kingdom all the way to Taiwan, and we spent 10 days here in Taiwan.
It was
working
amazing.
And building our businesses. And I look forward to us being able to do it again, but also for Nini and I to come back to Farnborough.
Yes.
And come all the way down and see you again.
Yes, hopefully not too long.
Hopefully sooner than later. Now, Nicky, you've been through a lot in your life, and you've learned NLP, and you've been applying these skills. Is your life better for applying this?
Yes, 100% better.
What I love about Nicky is, do you notice how she can speak about her past? And there's no emotional charge on those events. See, that's emotional intelligence. She can talk freely about her experience without getting caught up on it emotionally. And that's how you know that you've moved forward. And so it's through your pain that your greatest efforts will come. What I say to Nicky and my other coaches, I say, you've got to profit from your pain. There's been a painful event in your past. You can take that, you can change who you are, and then you can impact other people's lives and show them that anything's possible. And remember, there's three things we're doing at 100x DNA Masterclass. First, you've got to live life on your terms. Nicky lives life on her terms. She's got two beautiful boys. She's married to a handsome man. She runs the business that she wants. She lives life on her terms. Secondly, she's a leader. She's showing 169 people today that you can be successful. And years ago, she wouldn't have been on stage like this, but through becoming confident in herself, she can now impact other lives. And thirdly, she's also leaving a legacy. For every life she touches, for every person that she speaks to, for every person that she gives hope, her legacy continues on through all of those people. And Nicky has been in the back of the room. I think there was a photo just on Instagram the other day of our training in the United Kingdom, and she's gone from the back of the room to the front of the room, and she's here today to share with you that it is possible. So Nicky Masson, thank you so much.
You are most welcome. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you now know it's possible, and anything's possible once you put your mind to it. And I love what Nicky said, and I'd recommend that you write it down. Your mind is like a muscle, and you've got to learn to flex it like every other muscle in your body. So, Nicky, thank you so much for joining us.